Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yay.
Who knows if it'll fail again? I hope not. Okay. So are we done? What did I miss? Sorry.
We were talking about the lookups.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Trying to use for them.
Okay. I don't want to like run this thing. Maybe someone else want to talk about certification questions that come up around this first area, data modeling, field settings.
Well, we really haven't broached data modeling yet. But
You're right, we haven't. Is there anything more you think that about fields that'll be on there? Maybe like the sizes of how much text you can store. What is it? 256 digits to the left and right of the decimal, I think now.
They weren't going to do questions like that anymore.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
I don't know.
How about, does indexing come into this part?
Yes, it will.
Because
I remember
indexing is important to learn, I
is.
think, and not known enough about, and good to know, not just for the exam, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. Once in a while, the exam questions are actually useful.
And
Okay.
what kind of indexing you can do, isn't there? There are questions about what kind of indexing you can do compared to the fields, and what fields can be indexed, what type of fields can be indexed, right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. So
Matt,
one of
this
the-
is Mark.
yeah, yes.
I hate to interrupt you, but I have to run to that Claris meeting, and there may be a few other people. And I just want to say thanks for putting this on, and best of luck getting the rest of the information out. Just a quick clarification. I heard that someone said that the specifications are no longer on the test, and that is true. Claris has removed the requirement for you to learn the trivia of specifications, like what version is compatible with what version. All those questions are gone now.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, so that's just one thing. And then a shameless plug for those who are wanting sample test questions or a full-blown certification training. We have that at productivecomputinguniversity.com. Check it out. It is paid. I mean, it costs money per year, but I think it's something we've been pouring our life into. So if you want to check that out, feel free. But I have to go
go
now.
for the whole bundle. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lexi.
And video
Yeah,
series, right?
Mark helped me pass a couple of times. I really recommend that course. It's well worth the money, I have to say. And I don't get paid for this. Hi, Mark.
Thank you, Benedict. Really appreciate that, and everybody who has supported us over the years. One other thing, good news, we are considering putting out a series of shorts on YouTube, true and false questions, one short per question. And we are going to do that for free so that we can get people to warm up on the idea of certification. I think it's just an interesting way to approach it. So that you can look forward to that in the coming weeks and months.
Cool. Thanks,
everybody. Yeah,
I hope to see you back at after the session.
absolutely.
Cool.
Take care. Yeah. Bye.
So indexing. So this definitely comes up, and they talk about it, especially for like ESS. What types of fields can be indexed? Text, number, date, time, and timestamp can be indexed. Pretty much, I don't think there's any limits on that. Global fields cannot. Container fields cannot. Calculations can, only if they're referencing things that are in the local table. So in the line item table, quantity times price can be indexed, but in the invoice table, a sum of the cost of the line items cannot. Also, summary fields cannot be indexed.
And the calculation has to be stored.
Yeah, indexed and stored are kind of the same thing. So stored means it keeps a value that it can be searched very, very quickly, hundreds of times more quickly than if it's unstored.
Right.
There's been some discussion about whether the index makes a difference for sorting speed, and I don't know the answer. Does someone know?
I heard not.
Yeah, that's what I heard too, but I'm not sure. Okay, when you have an ESS table,
But
and
it's
also,
not just finding, because like if you're trying to render a whole bunch of unstored calcs on a screen,
Oh,
FileMaker
yeah,
still
yeah.
has calculated.
Yeah, that's a huge thing, right? So unstored calculations on a list view will kill you. Also, you cannot make a relationship where the child is a unstored calculation, but you can have the parent key field be an unstored field. For example, a global or an unstored calculation. So the indexing only has to happen on one side of the relationship. Sometimes you'll see a relationship that's valid, and then someone will make a change to a field such that it's no longer indexed, and the relationship is then broken, but it still looks like it's there. But anyway, when you have ESS or Claris Connect, Claris Studio fields, where the data is really in an external, not in FileMaker server, but in an external place, you can make shadow fields, which are container or sorry, calculation or summary fields that reference fields in the table, but those are not indexable. And I don't think you control anything about the indexability of fields in the SQL tables. I don't think it'll auto-index them. I'm presuming that all of that is stored and controlled on the SQL side. And I have no idea how Claris Studio manages indexing. Yeah, so that question definitely comes up about what can be indexed. Anyone else think about anything else on that question?
Yeah, yeah. The other part of it is there are the different kinds of it. My internet's gone down, so I'm actually doing this on my iPad. But there are different kinds of indexing, aren't there? There's full indexing, and I can't remember what they're called exactly. And so, because it's a question I think comes up in the exam, some fields. Here's a clue. See, who knows? Some fields can be fully indexed, and some they have. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's not like the full index.
There's two indexes.
Oh, and also,
yeah,
what a text field index actually indexes, because it index the whole text field, right? I think the first 100 characters indexed in the text field. I believe something like that.
It is.
I may be
like
wrong,
that.
but there's something like that. I
so
believe.
There's a value index and a word index. So on a number or date or time field, there's only one type of index, which is the whole entire field, because it cannot contain words. A text field can additionally have a word index where every word in the text field is indexed. And so that's minimal versus all. Minimal is, I guess minimal would be the word index. I'm not actually sure what the difference is on those, but I know it's a word and value.
No, I think you're right. I think the minimal one would be the first 100 characters, which is maybe why it's called minimal. Does that sound right? And then all would be the whole thing, all the words.
That's right. Yeah, the words are only if you do all.
Okay. Yeah, and that.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's not often thought about, but in real use, this is not so much an exam question. It's sometimes you can think about turning off indexing if you don't need it, or turning off like all indexing if you don't need it, because the file size would be smaller, which is not such an issue these days, but it's certainly some people think about that.
Actually, there's a big impact on indexing. If you have a table that has 100 fields in it, or God forbid more, I've seen them with 1,000. If you have a whole bunch of fields that are indexed, it takes much longer to create a record in that table than if the fields are not indexed. It can take seconds, like 5 seconds, to create a record in a table with a lot of indexing. Turning off the index field, as you suggested, will certainly save the size. It'll automatically be recreated when someone does a search on it, which can be extremely painful because it will cause that index to happen on the server. It will completely lock up your copy of FileMaker while the index is being built, and lock other things out from happening while that's happening. Like, I don't think people can commit schema changes or things like that. I'm not sure, but it gets in the way. What other tidbits on indexing are good for certification? The 100 character thing, I'm not sure. I know that it's It might be the first 100 characters of every word, but if you put the contents of an entire book into a text field, it will for sure index all the way to the end. You'll be able to find, the last words of a 1,000,000 word text in the end by doing a search. I agree that it's annoying that auto indexing is checked by default. Let's see, what is next? So schema.
I don't know that I think that that's bad. I mean, FileMaker does it when a user does something that needs an index, like searching.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, it's good. It's good for databases that are, 10,000 records or so. It becomes a problem when you have a WAN database with 10 million records. That's going to break. So that's when the developer has to definitely be on their game.
It doesn't do the indexing over on the server side?
I don't think so.
The indexing happens on the server and it becomes the only thing the server is doing. Every other
Oh, I
activity
see.
by all other users is stopped until
Got
the
it.
indexing is done. So if you have a table with 3 million records and one user does this, only find anyone who's ever done on that field that has automatically created indexes, their find is prioritized over every other activity by every other user, no matter if it takes 5-10 minutes for that index to be created by the server. It's brutal.
Yeah, I totally get that. I've had that happen to me. I didn't know that. I'm really glad to know that it is server side and that it totally locks out all other activity for users. Those are definitely some good things to know. I have one little fun thing to show on this as a little aside. Years ago, I thought it would be really fun to try to see how big of a database you can make in FileMaker. Like how many records you could have in a table, and how long does it take to deal with it when it's that big. And I think I might have set a record. I don't know. Just you guys can let me know. This is 2.7 billion records. It's just a flat, it's a database with just these fields, none of which are indexed because I don't want to index this. It's a couple hundred. I can't remember the size, but it's very, very large. I'll look at the size in a second. And so the curious thing about this one is how long it takes. So this is a table that has one record per session, but the other table that has, oh, there it goes, to just go to a layout with the billion record table takes, I think, around 25 or 30 seconds on an SSD drive on an M1 Mac. So like pretty much the fastest kind of thing you can have. So I put in a timer thing. I just kind of want to see how fast records can get created. So I try to create records 10 million or so at a time and see how many records per second get made when the file's on SSD versus internal versus whatever. So anyway, I'm being a nerd. Has anyone seen a database with over 1 billion records? I hope not. Okay.
Might have imported something from a government data source once, but I'm not sure if it got to 1 billion. There's at least hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
And it really was very usable.
My goal for this one was 1 trillion. I named the file 1 trillion, but it's never going to get there. It has 0 indexed fields and it's 184 gigabytes on disk. So if I have it's on a 1 terabyte SSD, so it should be able to get 5 times the size. Yeah, and then that's it. And then I have to find a bigger drive. So let's see, relationships. Let's talk about that, I think, before we talk about portals. One of my favorite ones is what do the little crow's feet mean? Is that actually on the test though? Like what do they actually really truly indicate? Maybe step back and talk about the different types of relationships that exist.
You mean one to many, many to one?
Yeah, one to many, many to one, and one to one, and self join, and many to many. Am I leaving any out?
I'm not sure about the many to many.
Cartesian.
I've used it once before,
Yeah.
but I think if you can also just access a global field, right? On another table if there's no relationship.
Yes, you can if you have a global field on a layout, and if you're in this tog and you have a global field up in the dashboard, you can read and write data to it, even though it's not connected. So one of the things, if you look at here, you can see this little teeny tiny line that goes to a vertical line that goes into the field. And then some of them don't have a vertical line. So the existence or non-existence of that vertical line tells you something about the field. And I think it tells you that it's indexed. I'm not 100% sure about that. So that means you cannot make a relationship back into it if it has a line on it. So for example, this global field cannot be indexed, so the relationship can only go from parent to child. But in this one, the customer number is indexed as also the foreign key customer number is. And then also you see the little crow's feet here. The crow's feet don't really tell you that this is a one-to-many relationship. It just tells you whether the field has duplicates or not, I believe. It's not a good indicator. Actually, right here, this one would be a child record and it does not have crow's feet, but this is for sure a one-to-many relationship.
So it just guesses based on your data or your index?
Yeah. In other words, it doesn't really show you what you think it shows. And I don't know if that's on the exam or
Whether
not.
the field is set to unique or not.
I think it's
Yeah,
possibly.
that's what I thought.
I think
I
that's
think it
what
just
is.
guesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It couldn't really end. So I think like you said, it has to go by what's in your table, what data you have.
Yeah, if I go to the work order ID field, so like right here, the work order ID is not showing the bar. It actually is set to be unique. Vince is currently modifying this record, one of the students in my class. That's why I wasn't able to do stuff, because I'm in the class database. Except I don't want the P there.
And they're not here with us, huh?
I love that feature.
Although he may pout, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. Yeah, so this
I don't
is,
think it looks at the data. I think it looks at the validation settings, and if it's set to unique, that's what determines whether there's the feed or not.
Ah,
well,
oh, that
I just
makes
set it.
sense.
I just set it to unique, and it didn't change anything here. So I don't know.
Unique. It was unique.
No, the ID in the work order did not have this box checked until I just checked it.
Oh, I thought it did. Maybe. Okay. Guess I'm wrong.
But maybe you have to save and go back in again, because it may need
Matt,
to
I thought
redraw
you
the
said
graph.
it did. I thought you said it was checked unique. Like,
Well, let's do another one. Here's the invoice line item ID, and we see for sure that there's not a line on it. And I'm going to go to the line item table. This is the primary key. The checkbox for unique is not checked, right? So it has these two checked, but this is not checked. And so if I check it and go to the graph, nothing changes here.
No, but why don't you close the graph and come back out?
Wait, if it was not checked and it didn't have the crow's feed, then it mean it wasn't using that value anyway.
Yeah. I guess so. So you mean it wasn't a child?
It wasn't using the setting, it might be using the index. So if you go in, maybe go into the table and actually add a duplicate and see what happens.
Yeah, I could try that. Let's try one other thing. Here's the work order table. It has a foreign key. The crow's feet are showing up. I'm going to break the database by changing the foreign key in the work order table called ID customer to make it a unique, which would break it. And I want to see if the crow's feet go away. They do. Right? So the crow's feet went away. So that's what the unique checkbox does. You guys were all right about it. It was just the directionality. So this would now be a one-to-one relationship. It went silent again.
No, it's good. Hooray.
We're just-
I got,
I'm going to unbreak my change because I'm going to provide a copy of this database to the students in the class. It's not cool to give people things that are broken.
Matt, I got a question.
Mhm.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's really an exam question, but I think it's an interesting one. Is how about matching data types on each side of the relationship for your keys? You know,
Oh yeah, yeah.
because FileMaker doesn't force you to do it. You can easily do number to text, and FileMaker won't tell you it's wrong, right?
Yeah, not only that, but you can link. So the customer table in this sample file actually has a customer number field. And so if I link that to this, that's linking a customer, that's linking number to text, which you're right, FileMaker does not warn you. And it will actually work until it doesn't.
Until it doesn't.
Yeah. If you have, so in a number, like if you do a relationship between these two, as long as the data in the text field is numeric, the relationship will be valid. Any text fields will be ignored. No, I'm not sure if that's true. That's if you put text in a number field. The texts are just invisible, they're ignored. And so they wouldn't even affect the relationship. Yeah. Anyway, it's definitely something you shouldn't do.
Yeah, because probably only the numbers get indexed, right? And it's looking at the index, and there's no
Yeah, well,
text
it would be a
even though the
value
data
index.
has it. Yeah, but anyway, FileMaker won't warn you, and it won't say don't do that.
Yes, that's correct. It will not. Yeah.
And
There are
customer-
definitely times when you'd want to have a text field linking to a number when, for example, you want to do a multi-key relationship or you want so you want a bunch of numbers in a text field. But that's for, I think.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, this is one of those relationships. This is a key list. So I have a script that goes and grabs a bunch of IDs or UUIDs and then links them to another table so that I can have a really flexible dashboard.
And the customer number in this case can also be a list, right?
It should never be. So in the customer table. Oh, are you talking about on the right or the left?
On the left.
Yeah.
The key ID value can be.
Yeah, the key ID value can certainly be either number or text. So here's
What I mean is it can be a list of two IDs basically.
Yeah, list of
Yes.
values.
It can
On the
be a
other side,
list. Yes, it can be a list of either numbers or text. Absolutely. So that's the wrong field. G key list. So in this case, if I delete some of these UUIDs, which I would have to make the field editable in order to do that, then those records would disappear from the relationship. And so if these were numbers and I change the relationship to be instead of to the ID, but to the customer number, then if I put customer numbers in here, I don't know what they actually are. Yeah, there you go. Then it actually does work. So this is right to what we're talking about. A multi-key list can either have numbers or text. If I put in only one and I put in with text with it, it still works. That's the other thing I was curious about, and I did not know until right now. So, right. It ignores the text completely no matter what line it's on. If the field to the right is a number field like it is right now. I'm going to unbreak that.
So it's interesting how FileMaker can take join two different types.
Yes, I think so too.
Is there any hit on the performance for doing things like that?
I don't think so. I think well, this type of relationship is extremely fast. And you have a ton more control too, because the search that you do can have well, let me just share the feature a little bit. To populate the portal, what the script does is a search. So a search, when I teach the 4 golden script steps, which are go to layout, enter find mode, set field, perform find. A combination of those 4 can get you vastly more than you can do with any kind of relationship. Probably you could do more with SQL, but you have to be really, really good at it. Combine that with like a emit record, multiple requests, extend, constrain. It's just insanely powerful. And then you just use the list of function, the summary function, to grab the keys from your found set. So found set is just super powerful in FileMaker. So this way I can have a really interesting and involved search. Like I only want to see records from this year that are in my state, that I am the sales rep for, that, whatever, that even the related customer for this particular thing is not on credit hold or whatever. And then you can use that to populate your portal, which is really good for like a dashboard type of a thing. So
And
that's how I.
If it's in the tens of thousands, it doesn't matter. It performs faster than if you would done a relationship based on less than or greater than.
It would. Let's see. If it's tens of thousands, you shouldn't do it because you should never have a portal with that many records. Pretty much ever. Probably not more than 1,000 even, because if it has too many records, it just takes, you see the little window showing that. So it takes FileMaker a long time to show the portal no matter what, if you have 10,000 records. But
Well,
I think,
I mean, not necessarily for portal purposes, but for other things you might use a join for.
yeah, if you have a simple join, like ID to ID, and there's 10,000 notes, that's going to be much faster to just do the calculation because there's no calculation involved over here. It just knows the customer ID. The method that I just showed will have one slow aspect, which is gathering all of the IDs for the multi-key. Once all of the IDs are there, it should be roughly equivalent speed to a one-to-many this way. Probably slower, but equivalent, but similar, I would say. So let's see, other types of relationships. You can have are these called multi-predicate joins? They used to be called different things. Where you can have multi-fields join down here. These will always slow things down. So every one you add probably makes it twice as slow, maybe more. So for example, you can have, date is greater than or equal to something here, and less than or equal to something here. Something like that.
And those inequality links are much slower than equals, even if you have multiple equals.
Yeah, that's true.
I know. What's strange is I was doing some SQL joins in Oracle, and based on my experience with FileMaker, I assumed that if you had 2 unique items, that would, if those were enough to do your join, just do that. And then when I would eliminate all these other default join options in Oracle, and then it would actually perform slower. And then somebody told me that there's
Eric, you're cutting out a little bit for me. Oh, it might be my internet though. I missed that. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I think I missed most of what Erica you said at the end there. Okay. Under what circumstances should you ever use sort here? It's a pretty easy answer. Virtually none. Because it will always slow down the calculation. Every time the field shows on the layout, it will have to actually sort the record, even if it's only showing you one thing. So back in the day, this was the only way you could sort a portal. That's why the feature exists, but it should never be used pretty much ever. I also think that this one is extremely scary because it's uneven in how it works. I can lay out a really weird scenario because I like to nerd out. You have file A and file B. File A has an interface file and file B is a data file. File A, the interface file, has the checkbox checked between customer and work order to delete it. If you're in the interface file and you delete a customer, the work order gets deleted. If you're doing some maintenance on the database and you only open up file B, the data file, file B, the data file, has a relationship between customer and work order. And the relationship in the data file does not have this checkbox checked, and you delete the customer, the work order will not be deleted. If you are in file B and you delete the record from a layout in file B, but file A is still open somewhere, then the work order will be deleted. It does not matter if if it's in front or not. That terrifies me. So I try to only ever script deletes. Does that make sense to anyone? Uh-oh, I can't hear again.
As
Of all days
dangerous
to have,
file.
I missed all that. Of all days to have bad internet.
I've used it, but it's for specific layouts.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments on it? All right, I'm not sure if people are talking and my internet's bad again, but I'll keep going down my list. Let's see, we covered indexing, field types, global, stored, unstored, summary. There's that new summary function. Well, new, I don't even know when it came out. The list of feature, which is the thing I just showed that grabs a list of IDs. So after you have a found set, rather than having to loop through and grab all the IDs like you used to have to do, now you can just create a summary field that rather than adding up the records or getting average, it actually just gives you a return separated list of the IDs. I love that feature. Oh, let's talk about what happens when you delete things, because these are definitely on the test. And also someone can let me know, please, if people are talking and I cannot hear. Oh, okay. People want to talk, but I cannot hear, which is not good. I don't even know what to do about that, except let someone else drive. Hmm. If I leave the meeting, then it will trigger the recording to process.
And so, yeah,
Oh, dear.
if I was going to ask Matt if anyone else has an idea.
I did stop talking because I'm not sure if I'm talking over people.
It's searches, and the searches take ages. All users are remote. And I thought, what if I did the search on the server, returned a list of keys, and then just displayed the records using those keys? Would that be doing the search locally? Tell you, any ideas?
Phil, yeah. Right, the list of,
Yeah.
and then display that. The other thing is, sounds like you might want to learn to use the data API or OAuth and get your results that way. Data API is the built-in one. OAuth, a little bit more involved because it's not your FileMaker, but then you're getting back your results as JSON, and then you deal with them, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, that could be useful. That could be a really useful way of doing it, because it's terribly slow, really slow.
But wouldn't it mean you get a huge JSON as well back? Or would you just get the first 25 or 30 records or so?
But yeah, that's true. You have to be careful, but you can control it. I think that was a question. Using data API or OAuth, you can say, just give me the first. If you don't specify, or so if you don't specify, it'll start at result number 1, but you can say start at result number 50.
Yeah, but JSON back, so there's different ways to.
What